going to show you the tray mixing technique with our painting today. Now, we don't mix our colors in here. We want to keep those colors nice and fresh for any time we use this. So we're going to use our plastic plate and our water cup. Make sure your water cup's halfway full. You also want to make sure that there's clean water in here. Mine's a little cloudy, but it'll be fine. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water here. Again, if you have a bigger paintbrush or a better paintbrush you want to use, you may do that. It might put the water on here a little bit more easily instead of having to go back and forth as many times as I did. All right, so that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take two colors and I'm going to mix two colors together. I'm going to pick green. I'm going to add it to my water bubble and I'm just dabbing a little bit into my green and adding it to that water bubble until I get a nice green color. Now I want it pretty dark because if it's too light and I paint on here, it's not going to be very green. So that looks pretty decent to me. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for you guys. Now I'm going to rinse my paintbrush out. What? Rinsing it out? I know. I need to make another dot over here. And to speed this up a little bit, I'm going to use a bigger paintbrush. But again, same idea. And I'm going to use my blue. I'm going to add blue to that dot. And since I'm just doing blue inside of this dot, okay, I can go back and forth until it's the right color. Now, I can start to mix these two till I get the color I want. Now I can continue mixing it, but I think that teal color is pretty awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take directly from here. Now you have to be careful because if you have a little tiny little bubble, you can't paint a really big space. This is a half decent size. I'm going to paint this one right in here, and it's a nice blue-green color. And again, I'm going in one direction. And you'll see how this is a little bit different using the paper plate, the tray mixing technique. You get a nice, smooth, equal color. Whereas when we did the washes on here, I used two colors and they didn't mix quite as nicely. They make a beautiful technique, but if you want it mixed beautifully in one smooth color, this is the way to go. Now, I also have just a little tiny bit left, and I'm thinking I'm just going to use it on some of my super small spaces. Just to use it up and make that color all over so it kind of unifies my picture, okay? And that looks pretty good. So maybe a little bit in here I think I can do. Okay, so that is how you do the color mixing technique with the tray, or the tray mixing technique. Again, I have enough blue there. I can rinse my paintbrush out. And I can now do the same thing, add a bunch of water, and use a different color and mix the two together. If I want that blue lighter, because if I take this blue right here, you'll see that's how dark the blue is. If I want the blue lighter, I just add some more water. If I want the blue darker, I just add some more blue until it gets to the darkness that I want it to be.
If you like this technique, feel free to use it on other shapes with different colors. If you'd like to try another technique, feel free to go back to the other video techniques in Schoology.
And when you're all finished with your paper plate, please make sure, or I'm sorry, your plastic plate, please make sure you take it and run it under cool water and dry it off with a paper towel or something. Please don't use mom, dad's, whoever loves you at home, their washcloths or dishcloths. We don't want to get them dirty. And then once it's all dried off, you can put it back inside your bag, but make sure that it's all dried off before you put it back in there, okay? Thank you. When you're all finished your painting, you're going to dump your water cup out in the sink. I suggest rinsing it out, putting some water in it, swishing it around, dumping it again, and maybe doing that a second time. So it's nice and clean, and then you'll lay it upside down to dry. Please put it on a paper towel or something so that you don't make the counter or something else all wet. When you are all finished with your painting, please make sure you rinse your paintbrush out very well, washing it in there 10 times, swirling it around, maybe even 20, swooping it up, and lay it down to dry. You can then close it. If you notice that your paints are still wet and your paintbrush is wet and this is all messy, maybe let it open and let it dry for a while, and then once you see all of the containers or all of the paint is dry, then you may close it and put it back inside of your art bag. Please make sure it's all dry before you close it. My paint container just broke. It popped. So I definitely need to make sure that they're all dry before I put it in with all my papers, or they're going to mess up my papers. Okay, so just so you know that.